Any of you out there who have a sensitive stomach, if you get triggered easily by the thought of murder, you should probably not watch this next one, because I'm going to be talking about this guy Justin Mon. Now, what the fuck happened with Justin Mon? Who is he? What the hell's going on with him, right? Well, this was kind of a shock. This was about 3 days ago. I believe it was the 31st, like Monday of this week, I think, right? This guy, Justin Mon, he's in his early 30s, decapitates his father, chops his father's head off, and then makes a video of him holding his father's head and puts it on YouTube. And then, first off, YouTube doesn't take it down for fucking 6 hours, which was crazy. One time I was doing a stream one time, and I talked about the coronavirus too much. I believe that's what it was, and YouTube killed my stream. And they said my content went against community guidelines, and it was because I was talking about the pandemic, and this was during the height of the pandemic. I guess you weren't allowed to talk about that shit. I don't understand how they can kill my stream for saying the wrong thing, like right in the middle of the stream, but like allow a video of a guy holding a severed head and not do anything about it for 6 hours. That kind of fucking gets me. But that's what happened. Of course, Justin Mon then fled, and they caught his ass 2 hours later. He's been arrested and is going to most likely be thrown in the fucking loony bin where he belongs. But what's really getting me about this guy is that if you watch what he talks about in his video, what he says is really not that different than your standard ridiculous Republican conspiracy theorist, because it's really like what he says is almost mainstream, because we've been pushed so far to the right in this country. It's definitely pushed the Overton window way beyond what it used to be even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. I would say we're like way past that. So here is the part of the video. We're going to watch the part of the video where he doesn't hold the severed head. And this is actually on YouTube, so I don't want to hear any shit from anybody saying that I'm like playing stuff. There's no severed heads in this particular no severed heads in this particular video, so we should be fine. In fact, let me just kind of scan through it real quick just to make sure. I'm pretty sure that video would have been taken down, but just to be sure, okay, no gross shit. And we're just going to listen to what the guy wants to say, right? Because, he felt that this was such an important thing, committed murder in order to make sure that we would hear what this guy has to say. So let's listen to Justin Mon here and critique his grievances, right? Pretty sure I won't get kicked for playing this. I hope not, but here we go.
He is now in hell for eternity as a traitor to his country. It is said that those who commit treason and betray others occupy the lowest pits of hell for all time. My name is Justin Mon. I'm the commander of America's national network of militias, which you may know of as Mon's Militia. I now give the following order for all
Okay, so right off the bat, you can tell some delusions of grandeur going on here. This is right after. Now remember, right before this, he just showed his own father's severed head. So this dude is already kind of off his fucking rocker. Okay, let's just continue.
For all militia and patriots across the United States of America. All federal employees are to be killed on sight. All FBI, IRS, and other federal law enforcement offices, as well as federal courthouses, are to be sieged around the country.
Okay. Every federal employee is what this guy wants. I think that's going a little far. I mean, but is it really that far off from what you hear from mainstream conservatives, right? Why would this guy want to kill every federal employee? And is it really that far from people who say blame the January 6th riot on the FBI? Is that really that much different? Not really. Is it really that far away from those sort of like, you remember those militia assholes that took over that, what was his name, Ted Bundy? Was it Ted Bundy? No, it's not Ted Bundy. What the fuck was Cliven Bundy? That's what his name was. Ted Bundy. Confusing these people. I'm confusing one crazy person for another here. You remember about 6 years ago or so, the Bundy Ranch standoff is what it was. And it was like this crazy guy that went and took over a bunch of federal land because he owed like $1 million in grazing fees and he didn't want to pay his fees or whatever. And so he like got a militia together and like took over this wildlife preserve. Is it really that much different than what this guy is saying? I mean, no. And here's the thing. Back in 2014, when the Cliven Bundy thing happened, it was crazy. It was insane. People were calling that guy a nut and all that stuff. But so much time has passed and we've been pushed so far to the right that this rhetoric, that this murderer right here is saying, it's not that far away from something that you would hear from, say, Marjorie Taylor Greene or something like that, or Lauren Boebert or Alex Jones. Really not that far. Let's listen some more.
All federal agents, U.S. Marshals, federal judges, and Border Patrol are to be killed or else captured, tortured for information, and publicly executed for betraying their country. To hell early. The federal government is the enemy, not the state government. If I am captured or killed...
You hear that? The federal government is the enemy, not the state government. That is exactly what Cliven Bundy believes. That little statement right there is a sovereign citizen kind of thing, where there's a specific type of sovereign citizen where they believe that the highest legitimate form of government comes from like authority in government is your local sheriff and anything. That's why Cliven Bundy would like not talk to anybody except the sheriff. If you remember that back when all that was going on, like the FBI, like were trying to negotiate with him and all that. And they would only talk to the local sheriff because their belief is that everybody else is illegitimate and the only person, because the sheriff is elected, right? And that's it. And so they're the only ones who have authority to make decisions and all that. Same fucking thing you're seeing here. It's really not that far away. Moving on.
Do not give up.
Okay, then it's reading some stuff. Okay, let's go on. There's a little bit more, I think, back over here.
Government is the enemy, and there is more than enough evidence to show the federal government has disallowed any peaceful solutions, and that violence is the only solution to the federal government's treason and the actions of their fifth column terrorist organizations such as Antifa.
Fifth column terrorist organizations such as Antifa. That is definitely something you've heard conservative politicians say. That the organizations like Antifa are terrorists. It's all a conspiracy where they're going to like mobilize them like Antifa super soldiers and all that. And that they're like being recruited and then one day they're going to like rise up and kill all the white people. That most definitely is a conspiracy theory right out of Stormfront, really. But not too far away from mainstream politicians. I mean, how many times have you heard people like, say, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Louis Gohmert, those sort of, and even people like non-crazy conservative politicians, like, say that Antifa is a terrorist organization? How many times have you heard that? How many times have you heard these people say this bullshit like, oh, Black Lives Matter burned down the country? The other conspiracy theory being another one is that they're purposely allowing all of these like illegal immigrants to come into the country to act as a fifth column, so that one day they could just like activate and then they're gonna like turn on and kill all the white people in the country. Really, how many times have you heard that? I mean, he even used that language right there, fifth column. I guess that's pretty much it for this guy. Right. There was 15 minutes to the video, but it really was just more of the same bullshit. We can go ahead and turn this off for now, but I got some more stuff I want to show you. I want to kind of show a little bit of reactions to this insane person. Starting with, here's some reactions from right-wingers on Twitter. This is Laura Loomer. Watch this clip if you believe that Justin Mon is a Trump supporter. Because apparently in that video he came out in support of Donald Trump. And not just that, but you can kind of see it's like the shit he was saying is crazy, but it's just the logical extension of standard conservative conspiracy theories. You know, he's got the Antifa conspiracy theory. He's got the government is evil and it's all a psyop kind of conspiracy theory, and that it's time for revolution. How many times have you seen, somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about a national divorce? Every time Donald Trump gets arrested for something, somebody like Tim Pool gets out there and says we're going to have another civil war. How many times have you heard that shit? This is what happens when someone who's off their fucking rocker basically gets radicalized with this insane bullshit. Now remember, this guy, Mon, right, was kind of a loser, this dude. He basically, if I remember, I was reading about it, he tried to sue the federal government for him taking out student loans because he said that there was no guarantee that he'd be able to get a job afterwards or whatever, which is like, no, the government didn't make you take out student loans. That's bullshit. He had a failed music career, something like that. He tried to sue his former employer. Like, he got a job as like a fucking customer service rep, and then got fired a year later. And then he tried to sue his employer for getting fired. And basically what the guy was a fucking loser, is what he was. He was a loser who blamed everybody else for his own fucking problems, and became increasingly radicalized. And it is ridiculous fucking loser brain, just kind of, loser brain fucking radicalized by all this insane right-wing conspiracy bullshit, just pushed him over the fucking edge, and then he went out and murdered somebody. And it's like, well, that's what happens when crazy people get indoctrinated by other fucking crazy people. And this guy just happened to be a little too fucking crazy for his own good. But of course, the right-wingers are all now in damage control mode. So here's Laura Loomer talking about how obviously this guy can't be a conservative. He can't be a Trump supporter. Oh, fucking no. Let's go ahead and listen to what Laura Loomer has to say about this. First, let me arrange my shit here. This is only 4 minutes long, but we can listen to what she has to say.
We have his social media post. We have the social media post highlighted. Let me show this to you.
Make it a little faster.
I'll show you. You can see for yourself the part that I read earlier where he calls Trump a bitch and says that Trump's going to go to jail for the rest of his life because he's going to sue him. Play it, or show it on the screen. Yeah. See that? He goes, even my own family upholds this cult belief and is willing to...
Now, let's read the whole thing. Okay, so she's pointing out this part where, he wants to sue Donald Trump. Now, remember, this guy basically tried to sue all these different fucking people, right? Because every time, the guy fucked up or something, he tried to sue someone for it. Kind of sounds like Donald Trump, but anyway, let's just read what the rest of the entire tweet, and not just that tweet. There's not even such a thing as America anymore. There's a civil war between Justin Mon and his followers versus the cult. America is secretly focusing and revolving around me, such that the cult is trying to hide me and kill me while empowering the cult and using the media as a distraction. If you couldn't follow that, don't worry, neither could I. Nobody thinks it's odd that I'm suing one of the biggest companies in America due to devout cult belief that I am the second coming king of Earth. I mean, Mayor Suthers and Governor Hickenlooper are literally about to go to jail for the rest of their lives after I sue them for everything they own due to allegiance to a cult who thinks I'm God. Right, okay. Clearly this guy's off his fucking rocker. Here's the part Laura Loomer has a problem with. Even my own family upholds this cult belief and is willing to go to jail to prove it. Donald Trump, if this does not get fixed ASAP, you will also be in jail for the rest of your life after I sue you for everything you own. That's not a threat, that's a promise, bitch. Yeah, so the guy's insane, threatening to sue people for shit that because he thinks there's a cult around him or something like that. I mean, I don't know what kind of disorder this guy has, but he's obviously off his fucking rocker. This guy reminds me a lot of Chris Chan. This is the kind of shit that Chris Chan would write. He thinks that the world revolves around him. You know what I mean? I'm the real player one kind of shit. Right? I am the fucking main character and all that. That's the kind of shit that I'm getting out of this dude here. So, because he said one thing, though, this is what gets me. Because he said one thing that was negative against Trump one time in a tweet, that must mean that he's not a Trump supporter. Okay, maybe he wasn't a Trump supporter, but he's definitely a conservative. I mean, this may shock you. Not every single conservative in the world is a Trump supporter. And I don't think you could actually use what this guy says as a barometer for his politics anyway, because he's obviously fucking crazy. But if you sat this guy down and said, hey, who are you going to vote for, Joe Biden or Donald Trump, pretty sure it would be a safe bet to assume he would be voting for the Republican. I don't know. Sounds a little plausible to me. But let's listen to a little more what Laura Loomer has to say. We can kind of skip this shit here.
Fixed ASAP. Then you will also be in jail for the rest of your life after I sue you for everything that you own. That's not a threat. That's a promise, bitch. So these are the ramblings of a lunatic, and he's reading a script. Somebody said I'll be looking for the head video on Rumble. Yeah. We have another social media post here as well.
Okay.
My next book will either be a compilation of short stories about getting famous too.
Okay, so basically she's basically trying to defend him, saying that he's not a Trump person. Right? Let's just read it ourselves, because I can't stand fucking Laura Loomer. My next book will be either a compilation of short stories about getting famous too fast and almost dying because of it, about why and how we should peacefully overthrow the U.S. government. Trump is smart, strong, or brave enough to help us like Iceland's president did during their revolution, though my investigative journalism I solely have proof that he might be too weak, stupid, and afraid, and ultimately damned to hell, which I'm willing to publish. Not saying the next book I will publish is choice number 3, but come on, isn't it obvious that Trump blows up his image due to insecurity about how weak and fearful he is? By definition, he could be considered the biggest wuss on the planet, and possibly in history, if he's a person who should be protecting us, but that is letting the world get raped. Yeah, something tells me he would say the exact same shit about Joe Biden. Something tells me that this guy didn't have politics the way that we normal, ordinary, non-insane people think of politics. This guy's searching for hidden messages and shit like that and thinking that he's like world famous and all that. He's delusional, but I don't think it's deniable that he was conservative. I don't think that's deniable at all, because he goes on to talk about shit like Antifa. He goes on to rant about things like illegal immigrants and how they're taking over the country. He's basically spouting the exact same conservative talking points that Laura Loomer talks about. Laura Loomer talks about that shit all the time too. That's how she kind of got famous, actually. She made a name for herself being anti-Muslim way back in the day. She was like one of the staunch, bigoted anti-Muslim people. So if you remember, Laura Loomer got herself kicked off of Twitter for shit like that back in the day, because she was so fucking anti-Muslim and she wouldn't shut the fuck up with her, like, you know, Islamophobia. That was Laura Loomer's claim to fame, that she like was a total fucking bigot and was like trying to chain herself to the fucking doors of Twitter and all that because they kicked her ass off for it. Right? So it's really not that much different. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Here's a couple of other things from Laura Loomer here. That was her defending Trump. This is her actually trying to blame it all on Joe Biden. Man beheads his federal employee father and posts a video of decapitated head on YouTube while calling for revolution against Biden regime and to fight army of illegal immigrants. Police take him into custody. Biden is making people snap. See, it's Biden's fault here, right? Biden's fault that this crazy person went nuts and killed his father. Biden is the one making people snap. Even though he's saying all the same shit that she says, even though he's repeating conservative talking points like verbatim right out of the fucking Republican playbook, somehow that's Biden's fault. There's a couple of other things that I want to show you guys here. In fact, we can get rid of this. This is some more people trying to defend this guy, Justin Mon. Because remember, folks, every time somebody says something and he's a right-winger and it's bad, it's automatically a psyop. Here's the guy, Hendrik Palmgreen. Apparently, it's easy to buy severed heads. That just happens to look almost identical to the one in the plastic bag of the one Justin Mon recently seen in a video. This whole thing doesn't seem like a gay op at all. This is, of course, a fake severed head. This is not a real severed head here. This is like a prop, like a Hollywood prop, basically saying that it was all fake. Because remember, it has to be fake, because conservatives and Republicans and Christians and all that could never do anything bad at all. Never. Everything that ever happens that's bad is because of Democrats and liberals and progressives and Jews, and everything that's good is because of Christians and conservatives and Republicans and Trump supporters and MAGAs. So it must be fake. It must be, I like the words that he uses here, a gay op. I mean, gay op. What the fuck does that mean? Does that mean that the government is run by gay people, that, you know, the trans people took over the government and they're using psychological warfare? Like, this whole thing was just like, what? So they brainwashed this guy into killing his father just to make Trump look bad? Is that the fucking conspiracy? Fucking stupid. Here's another one from a guy named Murr. Why does he have no criminal record? Well, maybe because he's never broken the law before. Not every single crazy, insane person out there is a criminal to boot. Maybe he never had a reason to actually break the law until he decided to, you know, decapitate somebody. That, of course, must be proof. This must be proof that the whole thing is a setup or whatever. Such bullshit. This is Kate. I do believe this is a psyop of some sort, but it was a real head in the bag. Police found the rest of the dad's body in the bathroom before he was arrested. Kate seems to be a little conflicted there. It almost seems like, oh shit, Kate is realizing, hey, this is all bullshit. I do think it's a psyop, but that's a real head. Kind of sounds like Kate might be on the fence there. Maybe somebody actually getting murdered, and a dude holding a fucking severed head was enough to shock Kate back into reality and make her understand that, hey, this shit is dangerous. Let's just hope so. Here's another guy. Now there's dozens of news articles about this beheading and all source the police affidavit, not just the Daily Rag. Do you realize that psyops can and often are real events that actually transpire, right? Nope. Looks like Kate was on the fence and then fell off on the wrong side, and now she thinks it's a conspiracy again. So sad, Kate. I had such high hopes for you. And here we go. Now here's some things that I've been seeing. This is actually kind of really fucked up and disturbing. This guy murders someone and then puts their head on YouTube. So instead of going and seeing that and going, hey, this guy is a right-wing dude who is spouting right-wing conspiracy theories and he just murdered someone, what are the actual Trump supporters and the maggots and the fucking Republicans doing? They're digging up any kind of thing they can find in order to try and turn it around and blame liberals and progressives and Democrats. So this person dug up a video from fucking 2015, and we're not going to actually play the fucking sound here. It's a video showing Kathy Lee Griffin holding up Trump's head. Do you remember this? You remember this? Kathy Lee Griffin got a big ration of shit over this back in 2015 when she put out this photo of her holding Trump's head. Now remember, here's the thing. This is fake. This is not real. This is a Halloween mask. Kathy Griffin did not actually go and murder Donald Trump and chop his head off and then make a YouTube video out of it. This other guy, Justin Mon, did that for real. But this is not the first time that I've actually seen somebody trying to basically, use this as an excuse. This is not the first fucking person to actually quote this. There was a post I thought I saved on Reddit of a guy posting this exact same fucking photo and trying to turn it around in order to blame Democrats and say, oh, look, it's really the left wing, the progressives and the liberals and all those are the ones who are really violent. And it's like trying to compare this to an actual real fucking murder. This is art. This is like, that's what this is, whether you think it's tasteless or whatever. Kathy Lee holding a fake head of Donald Trump covered in blood is art, whereas Justin Mon chopping his own father's head off and making a YouTube video of it is murder. There's a difference between those things. Trying to compare them is asinine bullshit. Like, why am I even talking about this, right? It's important. It's important because it illustrates how crazy these people fucking are. And dangerous. Crazy and dangerous. When was the last time a progressive person, like a Bernie, like would you ever find, like, say, a Bernie supporter, for example? When was the last time they went and decapitated someone in their family and made a YouTube video out of it? When was the last time that happened? Because I can tell you this is not the first time that a crazy right-winger has murdered their own fucking family. It's happened lots of times. Kind of reminds me, a few years back, there was a guy that kidnapped his 2 daughters and took them down to Mexico and murdered them both with a spear gun because he thought that they were like reptilians. Do you remember that shit? There was another one about a guy who was like a QAnon dude who murdered his own family about 4 years ago. Remember when that happened? Kind of seems to happen all the fucking time, doesn't it? Where like some insane, crazy ass fucking right-wing wackaloon goes on a shooting spree, murders their own fucking family, drives their fucking truck onto a bridge and blows it up. Do you remember that time during the election where a convoy of trucks went up in Texas? Joe Biden's campaign was driving through Texas, and this whole bunch of truckers and shit with like their Trump signs and everything came up and started to run them off the road. You remember when that shit happens? How come we only see violence like this from the right-wingers? When was the last time a leftist like this murdered anybody and a leftist person went insane from a conspiracy theory like this and murdered someone from their family or shot their father, killed their own 2 daughters? Like, it doesn't fucking happen. This is like exclusively right. Like, whenever someone flips out like this and goes on a fucking murder spree, it's like exclusively a right-wing thing. It's absolutely crazy. Why do I go and I show reactions of people? Like, why do I do that? Because it's important to show the reactions to these things, because this is how they justify it. This is how, when people on the right wing in this country see how detrimental their fucking ridiculous, toxic, asinine politics and conspiracy theories are, and how they're dangerous, this is how they justify it, just by spreading more lies. And this is why it's important that if you have someone in your life who buys into this shit, then the alarm bells should be going off in your head. Because who knows, they might flip out too. Right? This is why it's important. It's important for us to be aware of these things, because this shit is dangerous. It's like a dangerous movement that, it was weird and crazy a few years back and it was funny. Okay, haha, they're the town kook, whatever. It's not funny anymore. It's dangerous. And it's something that you should be aware of. If you have a friend, if you have a family member who's in this fucking conservative MAGA cult, who buys into these conspiracy theories, you should treat it the same way as someone who's in an actual religious cult. And they may need deprogramming. They may need an intervention. And it's not something that it's like, well, this is just their politics. It's like, no, their politics is what is fucking radicalizing these people and turning them into crazies. And fucking leading them to fucking commit murder. It's their politics. Not every cult is a religious cult. It's a political cult now. And the conspiracy theory shit is just the next level. After your person, they get involved in right-wing politics and all that stuff, and after they get past the top layer of the onion, where they start to consume more than just your typical, pundits and Fox Newses and kind of things, once they start getting into like the Alex Jones stuff, once they start listening to shit like Red Ice Radio and that kind of thing, and they have a steady diet of conservative, ridiculous right-wing bullshit, this is what can fucking happen to them. And everybody out there who has friends or family who lean to that side of the aisle should be aware of this. Shit's dangerous, folks. Anyway, one last thing. Please get out there and vote. Please vote this November. Please. Pretty please with sugar on top. Don't let these fascists fucking take power. Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.